and is currently traveling around a lot and giving lectures in different places, enlightening the devotees. And so we have the honor to hear him speak on this auspicious occasion. So Kadamba Prabhu,
Prabhu, we can go.
I think Lalitanath is trying to find the book.
Okay.
He said he would find it, so hopefully he will be successful. I will now sing a bit. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari 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 Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Yashodanandana Prajajanandana Yashodanandana Prajajanandana Yashodanandana Prajajanandana Yashodanandana Prajajanandana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari 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 Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Prajajanandana Yashodanandana Prajajanandana Yashodanandana Prajajanandana Yashodanandana Prajajanandana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Swami Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki
Jai.
Radhastami Mahamahotsava ki
Jai.
Gauda Pramanandi
Hari
ki Hare Krishna, everyone. We're gathered here for this most auspicious Radhastami festival, the appearance day of Srimati Radharani. So we have chosen a specific verse here from the Srimad Bhagavatam, which we will try and elaborate a bit on. It is from the 10th canto, the 30th chapter, entitled The Gopis Search for Krishna, and it is text 28. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, good.
Anayaradito Kutnunam Bhagavan Haririshvara Yanno Vihaya Govinda Prito Yam Manayatratha. See how this thing works. Okay, that didn't work. That worked a little bit. Okay. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Sri Prabhupada ki. Certainly this particular gopi has perfectly worshipped the all-powerful personality of Godhead, Govinda, since he was so pleased with her that he abandoned the rest of us and brought her to a secluded place. Purport. Actually, I should correct myself. This is not translated by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, but rather his disciples, because he only translated up until the 14th chapter. So, just so that we're straight about that. But still, purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti explains that the word Aradhita refers to Srimati Radharani. He comments, the sage Sukadev Goswami has tried with all endeavor to keep her name hidden, but now it automatically shines forth from the moon of his mouth. That he has spoken her name is indeed her mercy, and thus the word Aradhitaha is like the rumbling of a kettle drum sounded to announce her great good fortune. Although the gopis spoke as if jealous of Srimati Radharani, they were actually ecstatic to see that she had captured Sri Krishna. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti quotes the following detailed description of Srimati Radharani's footprints, as given by Srila Rupa Goswami in his Sri Ujjvala Nilaman. At the base of the large toe of her left foot is the mark of a barley corn. Below that mark is a disc. Below the disc is an umbrella, and below the umbrella is a bracelet. A vertical line extends from the middle of her foot to the juncture of her large and second toes. At the base of the middle toe is a lotus, below that is a flag with a banner, and below the flag is a creeper, together with a flower. At the base of her small toe is an elephant goat, and upon her heel is a half moon. Thus there are 11 marks on her left foot. At the base of the large toe of her right foot is a conch shell, and below that a spear. At the base of the small toe of her right foot is a sacrificial altar, below that an earring, and below the earring a spear. Along the base of the second, third, fourth, and small toes is the mark of a mountain, below which is a chariot, and on the heel is a fish. Thus, altogether, there are 19 distinguishing marks on the soles of Srimati Radharani's lotus feet. Om Jnana Timirandasya Janandana Shalakaya Chakshuram Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Kulavina Sri Chaitanya Manudishtam Stavitam Lina Bhutana Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swavadantikam Vanchakalpatarudishtam Kripa Sindhubhyaya Patitanam Pavanyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasudeva Gaura Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So a detailed description of Srimati Radharani's feet, lotus feet, of course. And why is that? Because when the other gopis are trying to figure out what is going on, what we do is we read from Srimad Bhagavatam and study philosophy, and we try and figure out what's going on here, because we're in illusion, so we're not always sure about what's going on in the world, right? We try and control and enjoy, and more often than not, it doesn't really work out for us. So we have a tendency towards knowledge and work and these things, and we try to use philosophy to try and relieve ourselves from this misconception. Now for the gopis it's different, they just experience. So what they do is, they know Krishna's footprints, and they see the footprints next to Krishna's footprints, and they can recognize this as Radharani's footprints, so he must have run off with her. So she must be number one, because we're all here, and apparently she's gone with him, so there must be something special going on here. So it's all based on experience. Our experience is a problem, because we have this experience of me being in the center, right? They have the experience of Krishna being in the center, we have the experience of me being in the center. You know, it doesn't matter which way I look, there's the world, so I must be in the middle of it, right? But they see it differently. So that is actually that's our problem. We see logic and knowledge and these things as prominent and valuable in their own right. Whereas in reality they are only tools in connection with Krishna. Does that make sense, right? So that is why Radharani is so special, because she, more than anyone else, has understood this, and that is why he runs off with her rather than anyone else. So for us, we have plenty of rules and regulations, and we are trying to live a very simple life and very controlled life and all these things, because we get into trouble if we don't. The idea we have of what will make us happy is they're all very bad ideas, basically, you know. Some more worse than others, but if we just chuck them together and put them in a box, bad ideas. So that's why. So that's why we regulate ourselves, because there are, like when a parent raises a child, there are regulations. If you see a child, you give a child a bowl of spaghetti, knock yourself out. It's completely unregulated. You know, it goes on the head, it goes everywhere basically but the mouth. And the benefit is, accordingly, right? So we're the same, basically. I mean, in principle we're the same. In detail, okay, a little more developed, but not a lot, you know. I mean, we're in the big city. You just walk down the street, you see some people who are not really on a much higher level than these babies, right? Especially weekend time. It's crazy, right? So we need these rules and regulations in order to stop ourselves from basically going down some wrong alleyways. Now the problem is that we get attached to whatever we deal with, right? It doesn't matter what we deal with, we get attached to it. Sort of like an addict. I mean, we know addicts, they're addicted, that's why they're addicts. But the problem is we're all addicts. It's a universal principle. Like if someone is addicted to running, if someone every morning gets up early, runs 3K, something, then goes off to work. Now, let's say that it's just really bad weather for 3 days. This person will get, withdrawal symptoms from not being able to do his running. Now, the running, you could argue, it's a healthy thing, it's a good thing, and he's addicted to it. So the addiction is universal. It doesn't matter if it's good or bad. It's just whatever you do, you get addicted to it. So our problem is we get addicted to piety. When we are setting up these rules and regulations for ourselves, we start to get results. I get results. My life is better now than it was 10 years ago. So I get addicted to whatever it is I'm doing that generates these results. Only problem is, I look at it as the piety is giving me the result. The regulation, the meditation in the morning, that's technically not true. It's the devotion by which I'm doing it. Does that make sense? That the activity itself is just a framework for the devotion. So the devotion is the mood I'm doing it in. That's what's working. So that's why in the next canto here, the 11th canto, the point is made that actually, technically, if you really want to get down to it, piety is sinful. Now that sounds odd. But technically, if you look at it as pious, that means you're not looking at it in connection with Krishna. Why is it pious? It's because Krishna likes it. That's what piety is. It's not like the rules don't matter. So that's the fun thing, is that Krishna is seen as someone who's kind of breaking the rules. He goes dancing with other men's wives, and he lies and he cheats and but that's because you've seen piety as higher than Krishna. It's actually sinful, if you really want to get technical here. Radharani technically is married to Abhimanyu, so what is this infidelity that's going on? No, because everything is the property of Krishna. That's the definition. Everything comes from him, everything belongs to him, everything goes back to him. The whole universe is Krishna. So she's not Abhimanyu's wife. He's just taking care of her. And that's the same way that we should all be looking at our own relationships, that if we have a sense of ownership of the relationship, then that will give us problems. It's just a matter of time when that will become a problem, because technically, in reality, you don't have that ownership. You don't have ownership of anything. You have certain things are in your proximity for a certain amount of time. Depending on how you deal with it, it will go well or not so well. It will last for a short while or maybe a longer while, but it will end. And if you think that it's yours, that's where pain comes. That's what pain is. Pain is the idea, no, it should be in another way. It should be different, right? No, Krishna should not be dancing with these ladies. I should be dancing with these ladies. Something like that, So this idea that I have ownership of the world, that is where pain comes from. So there's this story. It was a professor in Philadelphia Bengali professor, a renowned professor that was kind of a Vedantist, and Prabhupada was speaking with him. And they were having this discussion. He was saying, no, Krishna, he's a rascal. He's, basically, he's breaking all the rules. He's not behaving properly. Now, Prabhupada's point was, no, you're not behaving properly. Because you think that you have ownership of your wife. You've stolen Krishna's wife, and you think she's yours. So you're the rascal. And so he was quiet. And all of this is actually the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because before Mahaprabhu, the general idea was actually, that Vishnu is higher than Krishna. Because he's God, it's an expansion, or he is Shiradaksha. Vishnu, he's God, he controls everything, and Krishna is like this little kid with a flute and plays around. So he's an expansion of Vishnu. But actually it's the same problem, right? It's the same problem with control, that it's because it's seen as a big deal that the whole universe is going on, and I mean for us it is a big deal because we don't have that kind of ability, because we're here because we're trying to compete with God. We have this idea of ownership of what is going on. So for us, power, control, beauty, intelligence, all these things are seen as like really big things. Now, that is the focus of Vishnu. He does these things, he maintains the universes and he does the God thing, and it's very impressive. But what is lacking a little bit is relationships, right? I mean, Lakshmi is there, but she's not very prominent. Now, for Krishna, it's different. I mean, all the God stuff is going on, but why is it going on? That's the point. Like we were just talking, my good friend and I earlier, when I was growing up, I always had this why. I mean, from a very young age, I looked at the grown-up world and I just thought, why? Why are you doing this? Why are you working so hard? Why are you buying all these things? Why are you trying to impress each other so much? And of course, the answer is, which many people actually don't realize, is relationships. We think the things will make us happy, but actually we get the things because we think they will increase relationships. They don't. That's the problem. Usually they do the opposite. Why does the businessman, why is he always on his third marriage? Why is he always drinking scotch at the end of the day? Right? Because he's forgetting relationships. He thinks that if I have the facility, I have the great house, the big car, I have all the money, people will be impressed, they will like me, they will love me. But actually the opposite happens. They think he's stuck up and he's, what's up with him? That's the opposite that happens. Because that's what happens with what we call tamagun, the mode of ignorance, is that the world becomes upside down. You think that the things will make you happy, but actually they do the opposite. But for Krishna, the relationship is in the center. Radharani is actually number one, not Krishna. Like, Vishnu is number one and Lakshmi is always by his side. But actually with Krishna, Radharani is actually number one. So Krishna is known as Madan Mohan, he who attracts everyone and bewilders the mind. But Radharani, she's known as Madan Mohan Mohini, so she attracts the one who attracts everyone. So Krishna wears ornaments to increase the beauty of the ornaments. Like we wear ornaments, I mean, I'm wearing this because it makes me look pretty good, I think. You can almost fake that I got something going on here, and put a few nice watch, you present yourself nicely, so. But for Krishna, it's the other way around. He makes whatever he wears, he makes that look beautiful. He makes the ornaments look beautiful. Because every quality comes from Krishna. So, we are known as Vibhuti, us, the Devas. Vibhuti means ornaments. So if we engage in service of Krishna, then we become beautiful. So he makes the ornaments beautiful. But the question is, why does he do that? Why? Because of Radharani. That's where the value is. She is the pleasure potency, right? So whatever he does for her, because being God is honestly kind of boring. You just, moving around with stuff, and it's not a big deal. It's like someone who gets a lot of power or like a new job or something, and they have a lot of influence, and in the beginning it's very exciting, but it doesn't take a long time before it's just a job, So in the same way with Krishna, being God is not really interesting in itself. If you have that power, it's not, it's like you wake up in the morning and you have 2 arms. It's not like, yay, 2 arms. It's just, there they are, every morning, And the same thing with Krishna. Every morning he gets up and the whole universe is working, so what? But when you can engage in lila, in fun and stories with Radharani, with the devotees, then it becomes fun. Then it has value. Then there is a reason why the universe, why all the planets, and why Vrindavan, why the material world, because of lila, because then it has value. So we're kind of interesting because there's a lot of energy floating around, light, sound, all sorts of stuff going on. And it always does what it's supposed to do. It's not like you turn on the microphone and suddenly light shoots out of it. It's sound. That's how it works. But we're not like that. We don't half the time we have no idea what we're doing. Right? That's fun. Because then it becomes exciting. That's where, like, if you see lovers, they're always teasing each other. They're always making fun or running away from each other, or, always obstacles are there. So that's actually what is going on with the whole thing with us, is that there's obstacles. That's what makes it fun, because when you overcome those obstacles, then value is generated. That's the difference between Tattva and Rasa. Tattva, we want things to be as easy as possible. Tattva means logic, truth, that how does the world actually work? That's how we think, right? We just want it to be as easy as possible. If we could have a huge temple, if we just like that, we would prefer it like that, So Rasa means relationship, it means taste. It's not like that. It's different. It's actually, the more you have to overcome to get it, the better it is. So if you see like one of these chick flicks, right? It's these romantic comedies or romantic movies. It's like, the guy comes and he says to the girl, oh, you look nice. Yeah, you look nice too. Okay, so you want to get married? Yeah, sure. And then credits, right? Is that how they go? No. There's like an endless array of obstacles. And there's the other guy and he has all the money, and then there's the parents, they hate him, and then he's going on the date, but the bus is late, and it's just, whatever it is you can throw in front of these people to kind of get them apart, you'll do, because it generates rasa. And if you see this 10th canto, that's what's going on. All these obstacles, all the time. And we're experiencing the same thing in our lives, because our lives is just a reflection of what is, this is like philosophical quantum mechanics, if you could say like that. These stories, they're extremely high level. So for us to really dive into this would be a little bit like if you take someone who's learning how to count to 10 and then start explaining quantum mechanics to them, right? It's like, is it a wave or is it a particle? And you've got a 5-year-old kid standing like. So that's actually the relationship we have with this philosophy, but we can still get something from it. We can still get a kind of a sense of what's going on, because our life is a reflection of what's going on here, right? So the thing with the obstacles, we have all these obstacles in our lives. Now, because we have this illusion going on that actually I'm in the center, or my life is about me, then the obstacles become very painful. Because where are they coming from? Why are they coming? This is not what I wanted. I want something else for myself. I was just going to go this way, you know. So that's, again, that's where the pain comes from, right?